Hello, hello, it's Websy Wongy again. I really wish I could somehow get into podcasting. But I am while I'm getting my coffee ready. I'm drinking it and enjoying my morning before I have to do some stuff like the normal stuff, wash clothes, vacuum. I really wish I had things to decorate for Halloween, but I don't. So I just have to manage the best I can. But I thought I would come on here and make a video about something I've been personally thinking. And um, for any of you who've been following my channel for some time, know that I am Wiccan, part of the pagan community, um, which I don't take lightly. I am grateful for being on this journey spirituality and self-improvement. So just sit back and maybe get yourself a cup of coffee while I talk about some things that I've been personally noticing and observing. Just a interesting conversation to start the morning off of a cup of coffee. So go make yourself a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and I guess this can be a story time. Not really a story, just me rambling on for the heck of it because I got nothing else to do. I'm really trying to look for getting a job, maybe at Wawa, because we have some Wawas in town. So, trying to do that, but I'm just trying to take every moment of my day, especially when it's, I'm not with my boyfriend 24/7 and he's working, just take time for me and to reflect on life and to, just take some time out. Anyways, the topic I kind of want to talk about, it may vary, so I don't know what I'm going to call the video in general, but I do want to talk about karma and also what goes with karma is, kind of misconceptions of what people believe karma is and what they identify it with. And a lot of people in the witchy community, assume, everyone has their own beliefs, which I'm not taking anyone's beliefs. So don't get me wrong when I say certain things that it's something you have to follow by, because it's something that because there's so many pagans out there, so many Wiccans out there, so there's not one specific rule we as a community have to live by, or we as a people. We're individuals. We all personally make our own decisions, and we all personally live different lives. So we're all unique to our own, tastes and likes and dislikes. So everyone has different belief systems. So just try to have an open mind and an open perspective as I talk about this and what it could look like for your life and how you could associate it in some way. Now, I really think there's a misconception when it comes to karma. What is karma? A lot of people put it in this box that karma is this evil thing, that, karma's out to get you, karma's a bitch, when actually it's the complete opposite. And something I've been personally learning on and off this year is, whatever we put out in the universe, God for say, or the universe, spirit, source, you name it, whatever we put out in projection into our reality, whether it's our words, which we really got to be careful, because if they don't line up to the way we want to live, it can be difficult. And I'm not saying anyone's perfect at it. I'm not perfect. I'm just doing the best I can with the life that I have. But a lot of people think, especially in the witchy community, they want, some people, and I'm just saying some people, not all people, some people, they want, especially if they're newly into paganism, they think that, they get the ability of being a witch, or the idea of what a witch is, and they want to go kind of in the wrong direction, where they literally want to do harm to people. And one of the things that we're personally taught, that I, did some research and did some, look into it, is the fact that um, there's different variations of laws within the paganism, and one of that is, do no harm to anyone. But I think a lot of people, take things out of proportion. A lot of people, like I said, it's their individual path. So if they feel comfortable about doing certain spell works or certain hexing or certain cursing, which I don't condone, or I don't look at these people as they're irresponsible. I mean, it's all on them, really, and it all stems from maybe the misconception of how to use their powers, how to use their abilities within themselves. And a lot of people, I think, are misguided in the teaching that when it comes to paganism, that they're given this ability to maybe overpower another person, or maybe in some way feel like someone's done them wrong, so they're going to put wrong on them. When in reality, if you look at karma and how it plays out, like, I don't really personally believe it's a thing. It's mainly, when you do wrong to someone, it's going to come back at you in some form. So that I do admit, but also too, it's not this evil thing that people assume it is, where it's like karma's out to get you. Karma's not out to get you. It's just you're putting out the energy, hate and envy or jealousy. So you're already creating that pattern for yourself. So it's not much about karma's out to get someone. We all stem from source. We all come from source. So I feel like, it behooves people to really look at their own life and realize that we're all the same. In some form, we all came from source. So with that, I'm saying is, it's easy to get in this mindset that this person did you wrong, so I want them to feel the same pain that I felt, when in actuality, that person in their lifetime is going to suffer in some way. I'm not saying life is easy, but I'm just saying in some way, in some form, everyone suffers. Whether someone's hurt you, whether someone's betrayed you, whether someone literally completely screwed you over. That person who did that to you, they're going to suffer consequences from their own action. And it's not so much karma's out to get them, it's the fact they're going to reap what they sow, pretty much. And it doesn't have to be this whole idea that we feel like karma is a punishment. It's not a punishment. The universe will do anything at our disposal. If we're going to be envious of someone, if we're going to be controlling, manipulated, we're going to get that negative feedback. So it's more of a feedback. It's more of the energy we're getting back. And, it's just what is our intention at the end of the day? Is our intention to cause harm to people? Is cause, violation of their privacy? Because I personally feel like whatever we do to someone, we're doing it to ourselves. And a lot of people put on this idea that, maybe they had something traumatic happen to them growing up, or in some way they were violated by a person. But they have to realize that person comes from the same flesh and blood as they do, in some form of dynamic, because we're all come from source. So if that is true, if that statement is true right there, don't you think they've been violated in some way? Like, if you're doing the whole, like, if you've been a part of my channel in any length of time, or even listen to me, you understand that we're all mirrors of each other. We all are one. We're all interconnected with each other, whether we want to admit it or not. And I think we're coming into that place, and I've been learning it too, coming into that oneness consciousness, where we're starting to see ourselves through another's eyes. We're starting to see ourselves through another's perception, to realize, when I lash at that person who, God forsake, needs help in some way, I'm doing it to myself. I'm putting the hatred, the same hatred I'm putting on someone else, I'm putting it on myself. It's just how it works. And a lot of people don't realize what they're doing at the time, which I get it. And it's like something I'm observing in my own life is there's so many things that are done in life to other people that shouldn't be happening. Regardless of if they're a good person or not. It's like a dilemma, something I've been personally struggling with is, when you get into the level of understanding that I have been, where you really look at people through your eyes as if that person is another mirror of yourself. You start seeing, maybe in this lifetime, I'm not a drug addict, or maybe in this lifetime, I don't have severe addictions like some people do, but maybe in a different time zone, maybe in a different light, I did. And once you start to change your perspective with that, it makes you more compassionate to people, to understand that everyone's going through a battle. Everyone's going through a struggle, and I think sometimes we want to focus on our struggles instead of everybody else's struggle. And when we stop to sit and consider, this person is going through something. So for me to put judgment on them is kind of BS, because we don't know their story. And I recently came across a video, because I love ASMR in general, of a guy who does ASMR. He was talking about how he wanted to cut someone off when they cut him off when he was driving, but he didn't. And he didn't because he realized this key element that I do, that yeah, I could have cut someone off because it offended me in some way. I could have been an asshole. But at the same time, we don't know what that person's going through who cut off me. So the key thing to remember is when you're dealing with people, as hard as it may be sometimes you're put in these situations like I have recently where it's very awkward, it's very uncomfortable when you realize that this person, yes, they have different cultures, they have different background, and a lot of it is, the transition we're going through with the different planets right now. It's going to show the aspects of ourselves we don't like to see, especially going into Scorpio season. It's all about the shadow period and seeing our shadow side, seeing those things we don't really want to face head on. And I feel like a lot of people nowadays challenge us. And to be challenged, shouldn't be more of a punishment, like, oh, that person's challenging my patience, or, that person's challenging my past relationships, or challenging how I think in this society. What they're challenging is your culture, the way you were brought up, the way you thought, the way you believe in your mind, how things should be. And I think a lot of people need to sit back and be the observer. Take that part of yourself that feels like you can't connect with people, and be more open to the idea that this person is going through something. I may not get all the facts, I may not understand the whole story of what is really truly going on, but what we have to understand is we're made out of the same flesh. A lot of people have different genetic things going on in their body from different past traumas, family problems. But if we look as if the possible idea that this is my brother, or this is my sister, this is my flesh and blood, we would have a different perspective. Nobody wants to own up to the fact that this could actually be, my kin from a past life, or this could be my kin that I never met. But in some way, when you think of past life, whether you're into it or not, that person shows different facets of who you used to be. Maybe in a past life, maybe in this life, maybe a facet of your old self. Like, let's say, using the analogy, this person has an addiction of some kind. Well, in some kind of form of fashion, we've all had addictions of some kind, whether it's, substance abuse, whether it's porn addiction, whether it's self absorbed, egotistic based addictions where we think we're just us and nobody else. We all have a form of addiction. So it's like, you know, it's personal to us. It's our own little pet, per se. But it's like when we don't identify with the fact that this person has a form of me in them, they may be different than I do on a lot of viewpoints. They may be on a different level of understanding of what life really looks like through their eyes. But it changes my perspective. Especially recently, there's been a lot of things come up with a certain individual that I personally know. And, just this, I wouldn't call them much of a friend. They're more of a acquaintance, but they've had a hard life growing up, and I try not to, sound like I'm judging them in some way, or, I try not to do that with anybody. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people, why they veer to things like addiction, or they veer things to things that aren't really healthy on their behalf, is they just want a soul connection, They want someone to actually understand them. And it's like right now, this morning something was brought to my attention about this certain individual, and, it kind of made me torn between two directions, because I look at this situation, especially with having a Libra moon, I see it from two angles, sometimes many angles. And I try to get myself out of the equation and look at it from an outsider's perspective, observe it, and realize that this person may not be making the right decisions in their lives, but I can still in some way not attached to it, because I think a lot of the problems when we get too attached to people, or we get too involved with what's going in their life, it can have a negative effect on us. And then we start tapping into their energy, and when we get into their energy field, it affects us in some way. Maybe in a positive way, maybe in a negative way. But where I'm getting at is, I feel like what's happening recently, especially today when I was given information about someone that I personally know, is I see it from different sides. I see it from the side of the person who's criticizing them of choosing the life that they want to live. And then I see it from the side of compassion. And it's weird, because I've never really been quite at that point. And it's kind of like, I don't know if the word daunting, it's kind of like shock. It's a weird, peaceful feeling to know that I can think from different sides, And to me, it almost feels like I'm wearing a mask, because it just feels weird, because it's like I can see it from the critic side. I can see it from the person side who's going through the problem, why they're choosing, what's going through their mind, and how they're processing it. And I can see it from my perspective, like the observer. And it's like, how would I handle this situation? Should I just become a critic of it? Should I just involve myself or detach? I feel like the best thing you can do is just, if you're of any spiritual person, is just pray for people. Send them love, send them light, send them the energy to really help them understand. Because that's what I've been personally trying to do. But I know when it comes to people with addictions, or people who they don't want to help themselves, there's nothing you can honestly do for them. The only thing you can really do is be there in the moment. Whenever they need you, be there for them. Show that you care, show that you love. But also, too, you don't want to involve yourself. You don't want to get too attached. You just want to be simply the observer. Observe it, don't get attached, because I think that's a problem. Once you get attached to people and situations, you start feeling like there's a conflict. Like, should I be on their side? Should I be on the critic side? What side should I be? So it's like you can't really weigh out that. Just be you and be the observer. So with the whole karma thing, I think a lot of people put judgment, the idea that karma is out to get you. Well, when you do something, like I just made a cup of coffee, and then I used the almond breeze creamer for the creamer. What is my effect of drinking this coffee? Is it gonna give me the boost I need? What's the intention behind it? The intention behind drinking this cup of coffee with almond milk is to, just in some way take care of myself, feel energized, have a clear mind. Because that's what I notice about coffee. It gives me that clear mind. But the whole karma thing is overrated. I think a lot of people, especially in the witchy community, there are these, just like there's good Christians, there's bad Christians. Just like there's good Buddhas, bad Buddhists. It really doesn't matter. It's just people in general. I just feel like in the witchy community, when I look at different posts and groups, some people, they've been hurt. I get it. You've been hurt so many times in your life that you want people to feel in some way intoxicated by their pain that they caused you, when we all are human. We all go through pain. We all go through suffering. So, it doesn't have to take a rocket scientist to figure out that, if you do something to someone, you're gonna reap the effects of it. You're in some way, in your, some people don't like to say life lesson, but in some way you're gonna learn your lesson. I feel like nature and the universe has a way of getting your attention, has a way of helping you understand what you did to that person does affect them. So there's really no point to attack a person and want justice, that they need to pay, they need their crimes paid. I can get all into it about, people that done crimes. Should they deserve jail time? Yeah. I feel like, if you've done a crime, you should pay for the crime. But also, too, I don't feel like people, because everyone's human, regardless of who they are, what race they come from. We're all humans. Yeah, they deserve the justice. They deserve the penalty for their crimes, but also, too, most importantly, they deserve love and compassion and respect. Because it's like, even the most vile, wicked person inside is still that child. And I think a lot of people misread people. They see people as vicious people. It's almost like the movie It, which, if you haven't seen the movie It, I love it. It's kind of a horror movie, but, basically in the end, in order to get the clown to stop being a bully, everyone, started calling out the name clown, clown, and it got smaller and smaller. So I just feel like, I don't know what I was going to say with that. But anyways, like, in all of us is an inner child, an inner knowing of what is right and what is wrong. And there may be some people who don't realize what they're doing at the moment. We all had, mishaps with that, where we do things out of emotional fear, or we do things out of, because we have that vengeance wild beast within us that just wants people to pay and feel pain. When in reality, you don't have to do anything. The universe will take care of them. The universe will let them learn on their own. It's not about vengeance. It's not about punishment. And like people, some people in the religious community, especially Christians, they think that it's hell and damnation. It's not hell and damnation, it's your reality. You know, are you creating heaven on earth, or are you creating hell on earth? It's a mindset. It's not really about a place you're gonna go to that's full of hell and damnation. It's more about your perception. You know, you can be in the most vile, wicked place on earth, but yet it can be, heaven on earth. That's what it's about. Finding your heaven on earth, not hell. Not unless you want hell on earth, then you're going to get hell. It's about your perception. If you think, just like in my other video, if you think the world's garbage, it's going to be garbage. If you think the world's hell on earth, it's going to be hell on earth, or, relationships. Now, the whole thing about karmic, because there's so much to go into the whole karmic thing, but something I'm personally learning is, there are many lessons we need to learn. There's many experiences we chose to experience here on earth. And nothing that's set in stone, nothing that comes to us, we allowed it to come to us in some way. Now, the things that were done to us that we didn't choose, in some way we did. And what I mean by that is we agreed to it. Whether we agreed to be, a person, a part of the experience. So we played a role in it. Whether it was a role in our movie, of our reality, our perception, or it was just simply, we were chosen in some way to, have to go through a painful experience or trauma just for our growth. And a lot of people look at their traumas as a horrible thing, or they paint a picture in their mind that, this unfair thing happened to me as a child, and therefore it's always going to be like this, when it really isn't. Like, something I've been personally healing from is a lot of this idea that, it's our parents' fault for how they raise us, or it's our parents' fault to do this, when it's really not. It's for our growth. And a lot of things we may not understand why things happen, and I get it, especially things that were done unfair to us, but they had a part for our growth. Everything that happens in our life is a growing process. Because it's like, we can't just simply have just peace and harmonious and everything loving and kind. It wouldn't make sense. Just kind of like the Libra season, we have to have a balance. Just like, there has to be evil, there has to be good. And they're in unity, they're togetherness, because you can't make good out of good, you can't make evil out of evil. They are unified. And so a lot of these traumas that happen to us growing up, I feel like it's more of a growth experience. And whether it is a relationship, and that's a lot too about like the whole karmic cycles. Like, every one of us are going through these karmic cycles, and it's not a bad thing. It's cycles of changes. Whether we signed up to be someone mischievous in the relationship, whether we assigned ourselves to be someone that, loves all walk of life and people. Whether it's a sign that we wanted to experience a life that has many life lessons or many life experience. A lot of them, are karmic cycles. And every one of us goes through these cycles in our lives. Whether it's good ones or bad ones. And we reap the benefits. Whether it's, debt, or whether it's, we've done the healing, we've done the clearing of these past related issues, or we've done a lot of these clearings and integrating our work. Our shadow forms are all forms of ourselves and clearing what's not working for our lives. And I feel like once we do that, once we clear the energies within our family lines, we start forgiving people, we start clearing that, it brings in this balance of more peace, more harmony within ourselves. And I feel like the more I've come to terms with things in my own life, the more I can sit with being at peace. Because when we hold on to things, when we hold on to the past, when we hold on to what this person did, what this person said, how this was unfair and injustice in my life, and da 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 da, then we hold on to that karmic cycle. And I feel like just recently, when I came clean about something that has been bugging me about a friend of mine, and I just was cleared. I felt like there was a shift in my energy, there was a shift in my consciousness, being aware of where I was. That when we do that, we really do change the patterns of our family line. We do, help other people move on. And that could be another stumbling block in some way. When we don't learn to let go, when we don't let go of a person, that other person is feeling that energy. And recently I felt that, like, something was let go with other people. And, maybe that's anxiety that a lot of us carry, because we don't want to lose people. We don't want to let go. But I feel like it's a lot of control issues. A lot of us feel like we have to control situations because in some way we don't want the memory to fade. And I feel like once we get real with ourselves and understand that not everything's going to last forever. Not everyone's going to be in your life that needs to be in your life. And when we fully release those obligations, restrictions, when we fully let go of the idea that this person was only in my life for a certain purpose, for my growth, whether it was good or bad, it doesn't matter. They were simply in my life to help me grow as a person. And if you can't grow, you're blocking yourself. You're blocking yourself from truly being happy in life. So if anyone's struggling with that, and really get it taken care of. Really focus on what is stopping you from letting go. What is stopping you from fully accepting situations in your life that happened that may have been traumatic in some way, and just let it go and be at peace with it. Put it in a coffin if you have to. Put it in a note and just bury it away and don't look at it again. I think the problem is when we think we're done with something, we want to let go of something, then we keep bringing it up. We keep it's in the coffin, and we keep, getting zombies out, every garbage that happened, and it makes us toxic in more some way, instead of just letting it die. Like, I think that's probably one of the hardest things, is accepting death. Nobody that's gone through death, experience it in a way where they feel like they're done with the person, or I don't mean that in disrespectful, but like in terms of, I'm done moving on. I don't want the pain of, grieving the loss of a loved one. But when we accept it for as, this person is still in my heart. This person, their memories lives on. And I can look at it as this person's always with me, Because also too, in some form, you're keeping them stuck, You may not realize it, but in the spirit world, they do say that a lot of the time spirits can't really fully move on, or spirits fully can't, pass on to the next life, because people are holding on to shit. I'm not saying that out of disrespect to anyone who's lost anyone, but I just feel like if you really haven't dealt with grief of a loved one, I don't know why this is coming up, but there needs to be a way to release the pain, release the hurt of it, because the more you sit in that energy, the more that lingers within you and your energy, that person's not going to be able to move on. I'm not saying in every situation the dead moves on or passes on to the next life, but they may not. So, I don't know. It would behoove me to do that. Because sometimes I wonder that with people who have passed on, do they really pass on, or are they stuck in their energy field? I don't know if there's a specific age, like if it was a younger child, or if it was an older man or an older woman, like what keeps them stuck, like what keeps spirits stuck. So, yeah, if that isn't something that you need to personally release, I would release it. Because the thing is, a lot of people feel like death is beyond them and we can't connect to spirits, we can't connect to the dead. And the one time in the year you can, in some way, is Samhain. Because that's when the veils are thinnest. And, it may not be literally communing with them, but just letting their presence be with you. Like, maybe lighting some candles and just thinking about the good memories you had with them, and that brings in the energy of unity to realize, I want my loved one to be with me this night, and they will be with you to comfort you. And that's what people don't realize about past loved ones. When they pass on and they, are watching over you, they are watching over you, and I think a lot of people forget that. But to get off sidetrack, I don't know why that came up, but a lot of people don't realize this, but a lot of us are soulmates. Anybody that you come across in your lifetime is a soulmate. Whether it's a stranger down the street, whether it's someone you come in contact with, we've all had soul contracts in previous life, whether you believe that or not, but of what my understanding of it. And I think a lot of what I've been learning about people is every person that I've come in contact with, I've known in some way. They seem familiar. There's something about them that reminds me maybe of someone I knew growing up, or someone I've come in contact with in my life, that has a familiarity about them, whether it's like they feel like a family, they feel like a soul family, maybe in a past life they were, your child. Maybe in a past life, you worked with them in a social working. I just feel like, all of us were given the opportunity to meet people, and that in some way is a karmic tie. But all of us chose to work with different people. All of us chose to experience different things. I think it's just important to really understand that, a lot of people are getting out of relationships, and I don't think it's because someone is doing something wrong personally. I think a lot of it is we're at a level in relationships where we're coming into understanding that we're all connected, we're all one. So, it doesn't matter if you've been with someone for 10 years, 5 years, 6 years, 2 years. We all are growing at different levels. And I think some people, they're not really growing together. And I think it's time to look at that. Are you willing to go the extra mile? What's not working, and what can you do to improve your relationships, especially the one-on-one relationships with people. I feel like even friendships can be soulmates. A lot of people don't realize that, but if you feel like there's a strong connection with someone, it's a soulmate, it's a family tie, or it's just in some way just for your experience. Anyways, I hope this was enjoyable in some way. If anyone's drinking their cup of coffee or finished their coffee, I haven't finished all mine. But yeah, just let me know what you guys think about like karmic and soul ties and stuff, because I feel like a lot of people have this idea that if you've been done wrong to in some form of capacity, that people need to pay. Well, that person's that person's probably been mistreated by people too, you know? They say hurt people hurt people. That person who hurt you probably was hurt by someone, and so maybe in some way they wanted to project that life of their reality onto you because they've been hurt. That's what you have to realize when you're dealing with people. Just because that person lashes out at they're having maybe a rough day at work, or maybe they're having a rough day with family members, or just something bothering them. Their emotions are out of whack, their hormones are out of whack. Maybe you just need to listen to them. Like, let them lash out, let them, do whatever they have to do to vent, but then just let it go. It's not useless. It's like last night I overheard two people arguing at their house, or neighbors, and I'm like, what the heck is happening? And I was thinking, it sure sounds like how I used to. Because it's like I'd get in arguments with my boyfriend or fiance now. And it's like the way I used to be and the way I am now, it's way different. I used to be a very bitchy person. I'm very type of person where it's like I would get pissed off at the littlest things, and I'm learning to tamper myself and not be so aggressive. I think a lot of it is just, I'm kind of a mixed breed when it comes to like different nationalities and race, like German, Sweden, Scottish, French, Czech, all this kind of Dutch, all this stuff. And I think it's just managing my emotions and not letting my emotions control me. That's a big issue I think a lot of people struggle with, is they want to control, they want to manipulate, they want people to give into their wishes when their wishes aren't their wishes. It's like it's silly. It's like just let it go. It's like, if someone's being rude to you, there's always a reason. Maybe someone's being rude to them and their domino effect on you. You never know what people are honestly going through. So anyways, but yeah, I might talk more about I talked in my other videos about it, like karmic relationships. A lot of us, we go through these experiences with people and we feel like, why does this person feel so familiar? Why does this friend feel like I've known them, or my sister, or my brother? It's because there's a soul connection. There's maybe in some way they were a soulmate. We're all soulmates, of course, but like maybe they were a past lover in another life. Maybe you signed to an agreement that you had to go through something weird with that person. I don't know. It's like it could be a multiple of things. Anyways, I hope this was helpful to anyone, and just maybe open your mind a little bit to reality and stuff. But yeah, if anyone has a topic I can talk about, I wouldn't mind doing topics. I love talking in general, but like topics to help people and stuff. It's funny because either a month ago or a week ago, no, not a week ago, it was like a few months ago, my boyfriend, or fiance, I keep saying boyfriend, fiance was telling me, you should be a life coach, or like a inspiration life coach or something like that. I was like, I don't know about that, because it's like, it's easy to give people advice. It's just my own life may not be the greatest, example of a life coach or inspiration coach or whatever it's called. Why is my hands all hot? Right now. Anyways, I'm gonna go for now. I hope everyone has a great day, morning, night, wherever you are listening at, and talk to you guys later again. Bye.